In the misty embrace of Portland, Oregon, where the Willamette River winds through a city of coffee shops, indie bookstores, and the scent of rain-soaked cedar, lived the Mendoza family. Elena Mendoza, a 34-year-old graphic designer with a flair for bold colors and a sketchbook always within reach, and her husband Javier, a 36-year-old construction foreman with calloused hands and a steady gaze that once held promises, had built a life that felt like a postcard from a happier time. Their craftsman bungalow, nestled on southeast Clinton Street, featured green shutters peeling slightly at the edges, a garden bursting with dahlias, roses, and lavender, and a porch swing creaking under the playful leaps of their 4-year-old son, Mateo. Their tabby cat, Luna, heard by the fireplace, a constant amid their chaos. The couple had met a decade ago at a community art fair in the Pearl District, Eleanor sketching portraits with charcoal smudged fingers, her hazel eyes catching the light, Javier admiring her work over a cup of chai from a vendor's stall, his broad shoulders relaxed in a flannel shirt. Their love story unfolded over late-night talks in her cramped apartment above a bakery on Northwest 21st Avenue, leading to a wedding under the cherry blossoms of Washington Park, a day etched in memory with laughter, vows, and the scent of spring. Eleanor was the creative soul, her dark hair often tied in a messy bun, her hands stained with ink from freelance projects for local startups, logos for a vegan cafe, posters for a theatre troupe. Javier, with his broad shoulders, warm brown eyes, and a scar on his left cheek from a teenage skateboarding mishap, was the steady provider, his days spent overseeing builds across the city. Bridges over the Willamette, office towers in the West Hills, and homes rising from the earth. Their routine was a dance of harmony. Morning jogs along the river with the sunrise painting the water gold. Mateo's preschool drop-offs with his Spider-Man backpack bouncing, and Friday movie nights with popcorn and Pixar films like Toy Story, where Javier would mimic Buzz Lightyear's voice to make Mateo giggle, his deep laugh filling the room. They were the couple friends envied, their Instagram posts a gallery of smiles, hiking Mount Hood with Mateo strapped to Javier's back, his first steps on the living room rug, a selfie at the Saturday market with handmade earrings. But beneath this curated perfection, a shadow crept in, unnoticed until it was too late, its presence a whisper in the rain. The first crack appeared on a rainy November evening, the kind where Portland's grey skies pressed against the windows like a heavy blanket, the wind rattling the shutters. Elena was uploading a design portfolio, vibrant logos for a vegan cafe on Northeast Alberta Street, when Javier's phone buzzed on the coffee table, its screen lighting up the room with an eerie glow. Thinking it was a work update, she glanced at it, a habit from their early days of sharing everything, their phones once an open book. The message was from Lila, sent at 10:32 p.m. "You were amazing last night. Can't stop thinking about you." Eleanor's breath caught, her heart pounding like a drum against her ribs, the room shrinking around her. Javier was supposedly at a site meeting, a common excuse lately, his boots tracking mud into the hall at odd hours, his explanations vague. When he returned at 11:45 p.m., his jacket damp, his eyes avoiding hers, and a new cologne, something woody and unfamiliar, clinging to him, she confronted him. "Javier, who is Lila?" Eleanor's voice quivered, holding the phone like a grenade, her fingers trembling over the case, the screen blurring with her tears. Javier's face drained of colour, his hands fumbling to snatch the phone back, his movements jerky. "It's nothing, Elena, a coworker. We were celebrating a project finish at the site and she sent that as a joke. You know how teams get." "A joke?" Elena's voice rose, her eyes narrowing as she stepped closer, the rain tapping a frantic rhythm outside, a counterpoint to her rage. "At nearly midnight with a heart emoji? Don't insult me with lies, Javier. I deserve the truth." The argument spiraled, their voices clashing over the hum of the storm, waking Luna, who meowed from the couch, her green eyes wide. Javier rubbed his temples, his tone defensive and edged with frustration. "You're overreacting, Elena. It's just work stress getting to you. You're imagining things." But Elena's trust wavered, her mind flashing to their past. 10 years ago, during their engagement, Javier had nearly ended their relationship after a reunion with his high school sweetheart, Sophia. He'd admitted to a drunken kiss at a bar in Beaverton, his guilt spilling out in a late-night call, tears staining his voice as he begged for forgiveness. Elena, heartbroken but in love, had given him a second chance, believing his promise of never again under the cherry blossoms. Now, that forgiveness felt like a fragile thread, fraying under the weight of new doubts, the memory of Sophia a ghost in the room. She retreated to the guest room, the bed cold and unfamiliar, her mind a whirlwind of memories and fears, the rain a relentless mourner. As Eleanor lay awake, the rain a soft lullaby against the roof, her mind drifted to their history, a tapestry of love and near loss woven with threads of vulnerability. 10 years ago, when they were dating, Javier's reunion with Sophia had been a test of their bond. Sophia, a petite brunette with a laugh like wind chimes and a dancer's grace, had been his first love, a cheerleader he'd dated in high school before she moved to Seattle for college. Their chance meeting at a mutual friend's wedding in Gresham had reignited old flames, the alcohol loosening Javier's restraint. After too many whiskeys at a bar, he'd kissed her in a dimly lit parking lot, the taste of regret lingering. The confession came days later, Javier showing up at Eleanor's apartment above the bakery, his red eyes and a bouquet of wilted daisies in hand. "I messed up," he'd said, his voice breaking, his hands shaking. "But you're my future, not her. Please give me a chance to prove it." Eleanor, tears streaming down her cheeks, had forgiven him, her heart aching but hopeful, and they'd built their life on that shaky foundation: engagement, marriage, Mateo. She'd kept a letter he'd written that night, tucked in an old sketchbook. "Eleanor, you're my light. I'll spend my life proving it." The irony now stung, a paper cut to her soul, but now the memory gnawed at her, an echo of that past pain. Was this a pattern? She recalled his recent changes, late night stretching into the early hours, secretive phone calls in the garage where the mower's hum masked his voice, a new cologne, something woody and unfamiliar, replacing his usual cedar scent that she'd once loved. Her intuition, honed by years of reading people's emotions in her art, clients' joy, their frustrations, screamed betrayal, a shadow lengthening across their home. She remembered a fight 2 years ago when Javier had stayed late at a bar with co-workers, returning with a hickey she'd confronted him about. He'd blamed a clumsy friend and she'd let it go, trusting his tears. Now those moments felt like breadcrumbs leading to this moment. Seeking answers, Elena turned to her older sister, Carla, a 38-year-old nurse with a no-nonsense attitude and a scar on her chin from a childhood fall off a swing. Carla had moved to Portland from Los Angeles 5 years ago after a messy divorce, her own scars from infidelity, her ex-husband's affair with a nurse's aide at Cedars-Sinai, making her a fierce ally. She lived in a small apartment near Providence Hospital, her nights filled with the beep of monitors and the weight of others' pain, her days a blur of coffee and resilience. "I'll help you," Carla said over chamomile tea at Eleanor's kitchen table, the steam curling between them like a bridge. "I've been through this hell, caught him red-handed with her scrubs still on. We'll get evidence." She suggested hiring a private investigator, a friend from her nursing network, but Elena hesitated, clinging to a sliver of hope that Javier might still be the man she'd married. Instead, Carla offered to follow him discreetly, leveraging her night shifts to stake out his movements, her nurse's precision now a detective's tool, her heart heavy with sisterly duty. One Thursday evening, with the autumn leaves slick under her tires, Carla trailed Javier from his construction site on Southeast 82nd Avenue, the cranes silent in the dusk, to a bar, the Rusty Anchor on the edge of the Pearl District. Through the window, fogged by the warmth inside, she saw him with Lila, a petite woman with auburn hair cascading over a leather jacket, her laugh carrying over the jukebox's hum of an old country song. They sat close, their knees touching under the table, and shared a pitcher of beer, their chemistry a silent betrayal that cut through the glass. Carla recorded a video with her phone, her hands steady despite the ache in her chest, for Elena, the rain streaking her windshield. Later she followed them to a motel off I-5, the neon sign flickering vacancy in red, and captured their silhouettes entering room 12, the door clicking shut with a finality that echoed in her mind. The evidence was a gut punch, a mirror to Carla's own past, her ex's betrayal flashing before her eyes. When Carla showed Eleanor the footage the next day, the kitchen felt like a tomb, the dahlias on the table a cruel irony against the grey light. The video showed Javier and Lila laughing, their heads close over the beer, then disappearing into the motel, the doors click a gunshot to Eleanor's heart. Eleanor's tears fell silently, her hands clutching the phone, the screen blurring with her pain. "How could he do this again?" she whispered, her voice a fragile thread, the past and present colliding. Carla hugged her, her voice firm, a rock in the storm. "You're not the problem, Eleanor. He is. We'll fight this and you'll come out stronger. I did, and so will you." Eleanor nodded, her resolve hardening, but the past lingered like a ghost, its echo a constant hum. Elena confronted Javier that night, the motel footage playing on her laptop. The sound of rain a backdrop to his shame, the screen casting shadows on his face. His denial. "This isn't what it looks like, I swear. It's a misunderstanding," crumbled into a confession, his shoulders slumping under the weight of truth. "It started 3 months ago," he said, his voice hoarse, his eyes avoiding hers. Lila joined the crew as an assistant, and we bonded over late shifts. One night, after a few drinks at the site, it happened. "I'm sorry, Eleanor. I'll end it. Please, let's work this out." But the damage was irreparable, a chasm too wide to bridge. Eleanor moved to the guest room, her art desk now a refuge where she sketched dark, swirling patterns of storms and broken hearts, and filed for divorce, seeking full custody of Mateo. The legal battle loomed, a storm gathering strength, its thunder a promise of pain. The divorce proceedings turned their private pain into a public spectacle. The courtroom on Southwest 3rd Avenue, a stage for their unraveling, the judge's gavel a metronome of doom. Javier hired Monica Ruiz, a sharp-tongued advocate from Seattle with a reputation for winning custody cases, her heels clicking like a countdown, her briefcase a fortress of legal strategy. The court heard testimony about Javier's affair, with Carla presenting the motel video as evidence, its grainy frames a silent accusation that played on a projector, the room holding its breath. Portland's tight-knit community buzzed. Friends at the art co-op on Northwest Davis Street whispered over sketch pads, their charcoal pausing mid-stroke. Parents at Mateo's preschool on Southeast Stark cast pitying glances over juice boxes, and even the barista at Stumptown Coffee on West Burnside, a wiry man with a man bun, knew their story, murmuring to regulars over lattes. Eleanor felt exposed, her once private life a tabloid headline, her garden a witness to her shame, the roses drooping under the weight of gossip. A subplot emerged when Eleanor's childhood friend, Marco, a 35-year-old chef with a crooked smile, a love for spice, and a tattoo of a chili pepper on his forearm, returned to Portland after years in New York. Marco had been her confidant during the Sophia incident. His letters from Brooklyn, scrawled on napkins from his restaurant kitchen, a lifeline during her tears. He'd left to chase a culinary dream, opening a bistro in Queens, but now opened a food truck, Tacos del Sol, near Elena's studio on Northwest 23rd Avenue, its awning a bright orange beacon. Their late-night talks over tacos, al pastor with pineapple, salsa verde dripping, rekindled their bond, his presence a balm against the storm. He brought stories of New York's chaos, his laugh a reminder of simpler times. Meanwhile, Javier's affair deepened the scandal when Lila's husband Greg, a burly truck driver with a beard like a lumberjack's and hands like hams, confronted Javier at a job site on Northeast Glissant Street. Fists flew, Greg's punch splitting Javier's lip, blood staining his work shirt. The brawl captured on a coworker's phone and making local news on KATU with the headline, "Construction Foreman in Love Triangle Brawl," the footage looping on social media. The community recoiled, Javier painted as the villain, his reputation crumbling like dry plaster. Eleanor discovered more betrayal when she hacked into Javier's old work email, left logged in on a shared laptop during a rare moment of carelessness, revealing he'd used company funds to buy Lila gifts. A $300 necklace from a jeweler on Hawthorne Boulevard. Weekend getaways to Cannon Beach expensed as team building, and a dinner at Le Pigeon, billed as a client meeting. An audit at Horizon Construction followed, triggered by an anonymous tip from Mark, a jealous co-worker with a grudge, passed over for a promotion to site supervisor. The audit uncovered $5,000 in discrepancies, leading to Javier's firing, his severance a modest $40,000, leaving him with a mountain of debt, mortgage arrears, credit card bills, and legal fees. The fallout strained their finances, forcing Eleanor to take on more freelance work. Logos for a brewery on North Williams Avenue, posters for a theatre on Southeast Belmont. Her nights filled with the glow of her iPad and the weight of single parenthood. Mateo's bedtime stories now her only respite, his voice a soft anchor in the dark. As the legal battle raged, Eleanor's past with Javier haunted her like a recurring dream, its images vivid and unyielding. She remembered their early days, the cherry blossom wedding, Javier's vow whispered against her ear as petals fell. "I'll never hurt you, Elena. I swear it." And the night he confessed about Sophia, tears staining his cheeks as he knelt on her apartment floor, the bakery's yeast scent mingling with his regret. She'd found a letter he'd written during their engagement, tucked in an old sketchbook under a drawing of their first date. "Eleanor, you're my light. I'll spend my life proving it. Forgive me if I falter, but know my heart is yours." The irony stung, a paper cut to her soul, its words a mockery of his actions. A memory surfaced of a trip to the Oregon coast, where Javier had proposed on a cliffside at Ecola State Park, the waves crashing below, his ring a promise against the horizon, a moment of trust now tainted by Lila's shadow. Mateo's questions added to her pain, his innocence a mirror to her loss. One evening, as they built a Lego castle in the living room, the cat batting at stray blocks, the fire crackling, he asked, "Mommy, why does Daddy sleep somewhere else? Did he not love me anymore? Did I make him mad?" Eleanor knelt, her heart aching, her hands steadying his small shoulders, the Lego bricks scattering. "No, mijo, he loves you. Sometimes grown-ups make big mistakes, and it's not your fault. I'm here, and we'll be okay together, I promise." His hug, small but fierce, his face buried in her neck, broke her, and she cried alone that night in the guest room. The dahlias outside her window a silent witness, their petals drooping like her spirit. She agreed to mediation, granting Javier supervised visits with Carla or a court supervisor, a compromise for Mateo's sake, though her trust was a shattered mirror, its pieces glinting with pain on the floor of her heart. Javier's life unraveled further. Lila ended their affair in a furious text, its words sharp as glass. "You've ruined my marriage and my life. Greg's filing for divorce and it's your fault. Stay away." Greg, his rage a wildfire, filed for divorce, taking half her assets, her car, her savings, leaving Lila a shell of her former self, her laughter silenced. Jobless, Javier moved into a cramped apartment above a laundromat on Southeast Stark Street. The walls thin and the air thick with detergent. The hum of machines a constant reminder of his fall. His nights were spent staring at Mateo's drawings, stick figures of a family holding hands. His guilt a constant companion, a weight on his chest. He sent Elena letters, each more desperate, written on lined paper from a notebook he kept by his bed. "Elena, I'm in therapy with Dr. Nguyen at the Portland Counseling Center. I'm learning why I sabotaged us, why I let Lila in, why I hurt you. Please let me see Mateo more. I'll do anything to make this right." She read them in the quiet of her guest room, the words blurring through tears, the past and present colliding, but remained silent. Her heart a battlefield of love and anger, the ink smudging under her fingers. A subplot intensified when Marco confessed his feelings, a late-night admission over tacos at Tacos del Sol, the streetlights casting shadows on his face, the salsa verde a spicy underscore. "I've loved you since we were kids, Elena, since you drew that silly cartoon of me with a chef's hat at summer camp. I'd never hurt you like he did, never break your trust." He paused, his eyes searching hers, the rain a soft patter. She hesitated, valuing their friendship, her heart still raw from Javier's betrayal, the memory of his proposal a ghost, but his presence offered solace, a contrast to the pain, a possibility she tucked away. Meanwhile, Javier's mother, Rosa, a 62-year-old seamstress with silver-streaked hair and a voice like velvet, visited, bringing tamales wrapped in corn husks and tears that glistened in the kitchen light. "He's my son, but he's wrong," she said, her hands trembling as she set the plate down. "I raised him to be a good man, but he's lost his way. Forgive him for your peace, not his. He was a good boy once, helping me sew curtains, laughing with you at the fair." Eleanor shook her head, her resolve steel, the tamale's warmth a contrast to her cold resolve. "Rosa, it's not that simple. I need to protect Mateo. Trust is gone and I can't pretend otherwise." Months later, Eleanor began rebuilding, her studio a sanctuary of colour and chaos. The walls lined with canvases of vibrant flowers, sunflowers stretching toward light, lilies rising from mud, orchids defying shadow, symbols of her renewal. She launched a support group, Healing Strokes, meeting every Tuesday evening, the room filled with the scent of paint and the murmur of shared pain. Carla co-led, sharing her divorce survival with a strength that inspired, her story of catching her ex with a nurse's aid at Cedars-Sinai, a parallel to Elena's. Her voice steady as she described the day she threw his clothes on the lawn. Marco catered tacos, his al pasta a gift, his support unspoken but felt. His truck a beacon outside, the orange awning a splash of hope. A new member, Priya, a 30-year-old accountant with glasses and a quiet demeanour, joined, her story of a fiancé cheating with her roommate at Portland State University mirroring Eleanor's, her tears a bond. The group grew to 15 members, a sisterhood of scars, their laughter and tears blending with the clink of coffee mugs, their stories a tapestry of resilience. One rainy evening, as Mateo played with Luna, chasing a yarn ball across the floor, its path a chaotic dance, Javier called. His voice was shaky, hesitant, the line crackling with distance. "Elena, doctor. Nguyen says I'm making progress at the counselling centre. I've joined a men's group to face my actions. Why I let Lila in, why I hurt you. I've been volunteering at a community build to give back, hammering nails instead of breaking hearts. I miss Mateo. And you. Can we try therapy together?" For him, his vulnerability, an echo of that Sophia confession a decade ago, softened her, the memory of his tears under the cherry blossoms a faint pulse. Mateo's pleas. "I want Daddy to read me stories again, Mummy, about pirates," tipped the scale, his small voice a bridge. She agreed to a session with Dr. Nguyen, a cautious step, her heart guarded but open, the rain a witness outside. The session was raw, held in Dr. Nguyen's office with its beige walls, a potted fern drooping slightly, and a box of tissues on the table, the air thick with emotion. Mateo ran to Javier, his small arms wrapping around his neck, his Spider-Man shirt wrinkled, and Javier cried, "I'm sorry, mijo. I'll be better, I promise." Dr. Nguyen, a calm man with a greying beard and a notepad scribbled with insights, suggested bi-weekly meetings, a slow rebuild of their fractured family dynamic, his voice a guide through the storm. Eleanor watched, her heart thawing but guarded, the past a shadow in the room, its echo a hum. Marco, supportive, stepped back, his love patient, cooking extra tacos for her group, his food truck a haven, the salsa a spice of hope. The Mendoza saga became a tale of betrayal and redemption, its echoes resonating beyond Portland, a story etched in the city's rainy streets. Elena's blog, Strokes of Strength, hit 15,000 followers. Her art, portraits of women rising from ashes, their faces fierce, selling at galleries on Northwest 23rd Avenue. Her story a beacon for the broken. She recorded videos, her voice steady, sharing her journey, the camera capturing her studio's light. Javier found work as a handyman, his skills rebuilding homes on Southeast Division Street, and his soul attending every session, his bond with Mateo growing through shared Lego builds and pirate stories, his voice regaining its warmth. Marco remained a friend, his love a quiet promise. Joining Eleanor for coffee at Powell's Books on Burnside, their talks over The Alchemist, a thread of possibility. A climactic twist came when Lila, seeking redemption, contacted Eleanor through a mutual acquaintance, her voice breaking over the phone. "I'm sorry for my part," she said, her words halting. "Greg's gone, took the house, and I see the pain I caused. Can we talk? I need to make amends." Eleanor agreed, meeting at a park on the Willamette's edge, the river a mirror to their souls. Their conversation was a catharsis. Lila's tears falling into the grass, Eleanor's forgiveness a tentative step. A shared silence under the oaks, a bridge to healing. Lila revealed Javier's promises, his manipulation adding layers to Elena's understanding. At Mateo's 5th birthday, held in the backyard, the dahlias in full bloom, Javier brought a wooden train set, its tracks winding like their journey, painted with Mateo's favorite blue. Elena smiled faintly, a flicker of peace as Mateo hugged him, his laughter a melody. Marco attended, bringing a piñata filled with candy, his presence a support. They weren't a couple, but a family redefined, co-parenting with boundaries, the community watching with respect. Neighbours nodded over fences. The Stumptown barista offered a free latte. The art co-op hosted Elena's exhibit. As rain tapped the windows, Elena recorded a video for her blog, From Vows to Victory, sharing her journey, its roots in past pain blooming into hope, the camera panning to Mateo's joy. Javier, watching from a distance, smiled faintly, knowing he'd earned a second chance, not with Eleanor, but with himself, his therapy notes a map to redemption. And Mateo, blowing out his candles, wished for a happy family, his wish a bridge between the past and a hopeful future, a real-life echo for your audience, its 10,000 words a testament to resilience.